Has winter showed up yet? Is it winter time? Yeah. No? Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope you're doing well. So I did my top 10 designer list for winter over a month ago. And I thought winter was coming. It was getting cold outside, you know, getting real shivery. And then temperatures decided to head into the 60s and even the 70s. That's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. And pretty much stayed there. So we're gonna go ahead and do the top 10 winter niche list because I figure eventually it's gonna get cold. So let's jump into it. Let's check these out. These are some sick fragrances that I'm really looking forward to wearing this winter. I'm gonna have links in the description for each one of these fragrances, and if any of them are at Twisted Lily, just a pro tip, use the code GENTS10, save yourself 10% off, don't pay full retail. Let me do a couple quick mentions before we get into the official top 10. First off, Amouage Overture Man. Now, frankly, this would have made the top 10, but I didn't want to put two Amouage in the list. A little bit of foreshadowing. This one has cognac, myrrh, sandalwood, and spices, and it smells fantastic. Love it. Little boozy sweetness, big bunch of spice, woodiness, little animalic touch in there as well. It lasts forever. It projects like a monster. This stuff is fantastic. The big drawback with Overture is it's been hard to find in the US. Retailers really haven't carried it. Twisted Lily sometimes gets those in stock, but then they sell out. So if you're interested in it and you've been wanting it, that's one place you could go and just put in the little email, notify me. And then the other mention, Idole de Luban. This is a fragrance that I have adored for years. I've mentioned this on numerous niche lists, seasonal lists. If you don't want to spend the money for this one, you can get Bentley from Intense. It's similar, so it's going to get you a fragrance in the same style, same family, just a lot more affordable. If you can afford it though, if price is no option, get this one instead. It's got rum, ebony wood, leather, and saffron among other notes. And this one is going to be a little bit of a dark, mysterious, spicy, slightly smoky, woodsy scent. Great stuff. Okay, official top 10 time. Let's do it. Starting off with Initio Oud for Greatness. Now, this is another fragrance, a little bit like Idole de Luban, where if you want an affordable alternative, there are some. Afnan Supremacy in Oud would be my choice, but there's also Oud for Glory from Lattafa, which is pretty close as well. Like Idole de Luban though, if price is no issue, get this one because it's better. So this one has oud, saffron, nutmeg, and patchouli. It is another fragrance with massive power, and even though it's oud-centric, oud-forward, it's also a really big compliment puller and pretty versatile as well, as long as it's cool outside. And that's because the oud here does not come across overly animalic, fecal, you know, a bit poopy, some people would say. Oud for Greatness is the most hyped fragrance from Initio Parfum for good reason. I think if you're starting to get into the house, you probably start with that one. Number 9, very fancy bottle, very nice looking. It's Luxor from Xerjov. This is part of their Oud Stars collection. This looks pricey, doesn't it? Yeah, exquisite. Oud, tobacco, myrrh, incense, and cinnamon, some of the notes in this fragrance. So the oud in this one, it packs a little more punch than Oud for Greatness. I would say it has a little more character than the oud in Oud for Greatness. Not that there's anything wrong with Oud for Greatness. It's just when you spray this one on, it has more discernible characteristics from the oud, like what you would expect oud to smell like. So this one does have a little bit more of that sort of barnyard touch to it, but it's softened and sweetened with all the supporting notes, so it never becomes something that's unwearable or unwieldy, something that people are gonna smell and just go, ugh. Definitely though, in the opening, does have a little bit of a punch, which to me, I actually love. I think that it's really interesting. It's got a good amount of complexity and still enough versatility that you can bust that out and wear it casually if you wanted to. Just tone down the sprays, I'd say. Number 8, this is a long-standing favorite of mine. Memoirs of a Trespasser from Imaginary Authors. Notes are on the back of the bottle here. Madagascar vanilla, guaiac wood, myrrh, bergamot, benzoin resin, ambrette seeds, and oak barrel. So the vanilla and the guaiac wood is really what helps make this fragrance. It's smoky, rich vanilla. So instead of getting that overly sweet sugared vanilla, this one is like reduced down and heavier, and again has that bit of smoke wafting throughout, that woodiness, that woody backbone. It's frankly fantastic. It is basically at the very pinnacle of the Imaginary Authors lineup. For me, it's this one and K Partache. Those two are like 1A and 2A. They're just right at the top. Or I guess it would be 1A and 1B, whatever. Number 7, Memoirs Interlude Black Iris. Yeah, so there's the other Memoirs. Probably not much of a surprise. Forest Leather Oud, Olive and Myrrh, some of the notes in this fragrance. This thing just never gets old to me. It's like an old high school crush or something. I don't know. Like you feel like you're over it, and then you smell it again and you just go, oh. This is one of those times where the flanker is done right. It takes the original and it improves on it. And even though before this came out, I was really kind of iffy on it and thought it was a stupid idea, when it came out, it obviously proved me wrong. That is probably to date my favorite Memoirs, and that is saying something. Number 6, going with a Menthol, and it's Honey AOUD. This thing is another fragrance that just year over year, come back to it, still love it. It has cinnamon, amber, vanilla, and of course the 2 notes in its name, honey and oud. And if you are starting to get into niche oud fragrances and you wanted one that's not going to cost all that much, that's going to be sort of an easy stepping stone into that territory, I would tell you to get this one. So this one has that oudiness from Menthol that they're well known for, but here it's not quite as medicinal or screechy as it can be in other Menthol oud-based fragrances. The honey here, along with that vanilla, that amber, all that added sweetness, basically just drips over the oud and just helps extract and get rid of some of that quality, that screechy quality. It also makes it way more wearable, and you don't sacrifice anything performance-wise like most Menthols, especially their oud ones. This thing is a monster. It's gonna last forever, so that 100 milliliters will go a long way. Number 5, Parfums de Marly Carlisle. Patchouli, nutmeg, tonka vanilla, and apple Carlisle. It's one of those upper tier Parfums de Marly releases as far as just the wearability, versatility, compliment factor, the longevity, the projection. It ticks all the boxes. It's up there with the other heavy hitters from the house, you know, the Parfums de Marly Laytons, things of that nature. This one, because of that patchouli, it's got a very faint hint of earthiness underneath everything else, gives it a little touch of character, a little added character. In the opening, that bit of apple, well, you could kind of tie it together with maybe a couple other Parfums de Marly releases, but it stands on its own. It smells fantastic, lasts forever. There is a lot to love about that scent, and it's also going to give you that kind of luxurious feel that you would expect from a Parfums de Marly as compared to designer releases. Number 4, a fragrance I've not had for a really long time, so that's why I want to give it a lot of wear this winter. 40 Thieves from Fort and Manley. Love the Fort and Manley presentation. Super simple, but that little metallic plaque on the front, the way it's decorated, it looks fantastic. I love those. And Fort and Manley really seems to just do some top of the line wintertime fragrances, fall and winter, you know, those resinous, ambery, spicy, smoky types of scents. They crush those. This has resins, incense, amber, and honey, and that really tells you what it's about. It's a very amber forward, slightly smoky and sweet scent, and like pretty much everything here, the performance is great. The smoky amber, the way that it comes across here, has a little bit of a throwback feel to it, but absolutely love the fragrance, and I think it's worth full retail pretty easily. Again, Fort and Manley, house that I'm a big fan of. I've sampled a bunch of them, but just haven't pulled the trigger on enough of them yet. Number 3, this is the newest of the bunch for me, and it is Raja Parfums Amber AOUD. Now this thing is expensive, really quite expensive. So you may be asking yourself, well, how expensive is expensive? $765. It's got oud, ambergris, saffron, rose, and a little citrus off the top. Actually, it's got a lot of notes, like most Raja Parfum fragrances. For a very long time, going back years, this fragrance was heavily hyped online, talking about in forums, on Facebook, places like that. People would talk about this kind of like in hushed tones. Oh, that's one of the best oud fragrances. Truthfully, I never took the plunge because the price was very prohibitive. One of those things where you don't really want to get a sample of it, and then you do end up loving it and you just go, great. And the scent is really nice. So the rose doesn't become too prominent. It doesn't become one of those generic oud and rose and saffron scents, because there are enough of those that I just don't really care anymore. It would have to be just the most exquisite rose oud ever for me to give a crap. Thankfully, that doesn't happen here. Even though it does have oud, rose, and saffron, it doesn't go too far into that familiar territory where it becomes just bland and forgettable. The amber here really helps give it this rounded warmth and sweetness, along with the effervescent almost kind of oud that the fragrance has. And that's something you'll find in a lot of Roger Parfum fragrances anyway. When you spray it on, it's got this like lively, bubbly, effervescent kind of spice or sweetness off the top and through the mid. The scent itself is great. It is really nice stuff. One thing though, with Roger Parfum atomizers, they're pressurized. They spray out a very fine mist. You have to make sure you get a good amount of that on yourself, because you might just barely mist your skin. Just make sure you're getting a good coverage, I'm saying. Number 2, Andy Tower Au Coeur du Désert. This one has amber woods, spices, a little bit of citrus off the top. This is a flanker to L'air du Désert Marocain, and that one is one of my all-time favorites, and this is right up there with it. This is, it's warm, it's rich, it's very ambery, amber forward, spices wafting throughout, a hint of like smokiness kind of coming up through everything else. It is so good, so good, and I put it off owning it until this year, which was a mistake. This one is an extrait de parfum. It lasts very long. The projection is solid as well. It is basically like taking LDDM and kind of turning it up to 11 and making it even richer, even smoother, if that's possible. Exquisite. That fragrance is something I love. Now, some people are gonna say, I love smelling it. I love the smell of it in the air. I love spraying it on a tester strip and just giving it the old, I love that. But is it wearable? Some people would say, I don't think so. But for me, big time yes. I don't go heavy with it, I'll tell you that much. Just a few sprays, that's gonna do it for you. But I think it's completely wearable. Number 1, Amber KISO DS and Durga. Let's get it. Another very rich looking fragrance with the coloration of the scent there. Ooh, I love it. Leather, maple, hinoki, cypress. It's very woodsy, and the leather is right there at the top. You can smell it as soon as you take the cap off. When you spray it on, it's like the leather is just draped over everything else. Also have incense in here as well. So again, a little bit of smokiness, which is something I really love, which you can tell by the fragrances here today. This is just fantastic. One of my very favorites from DS and Durga, possibly just my absolute favorite at this point. Now I know the name is Amber KISO, so you may think it's going to be amber forward, where that's like the main focal point, this kind of resinous sweetness, but really not. It's really more so about those woods, the leather, and the bit of incense. Amber adds maybe a little warmth, a touch of sweetness, but probably not as much as you're expecting if you've never smelled it. So there we go. Top 10 niche fragrances for 2021 heading into 2022. These things absolutely kill it. The performance for pretty much all these is amazing. They're gonna last forever. You don't need much to, really get a reaction from people and be able to smell it all day. Let me know in the comments some of the fragrances you guys are gonna be wearing this winter. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for your support. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.